Well, this is one of my favorite times of the year. It's midsummer. The fish are all getting out to Midlake structure. We're gonna pull some Lindy rigs today. We're gonna get a bunch of walleyes, and we're gonna show you exactly how to do it because this is happening all over the Midwest. So no matter where you fish, you've got the chance to go out and do this in your own backyard. Stay right where you're at. Fish Head's coming up. Got him. I knew I could make this guy bite. Now we're kind of spinning in a little bit of circles, but it feels like a pretty good one here. Let's see if we can't get this guy. Boy, the way I'm fishing today, this is as easy as it gets. We're Lindy rigging, and it's probably my favorite way to fish. Look at that walleye. Look at that. What a great fish. This is my favorite way to fish for a couple of reasons. One is because, plain and simple, fish love a bait that looks natural to them. And a Lindy rig delivers a bait very, very natural to a fish. Let's get this guy unhooked and we'll get him back in the water. It's just barely moving that leech along, and that's all I'm doing today. I'm just sliding that leech along, and I'll let this guy go real quick. Get him back in there. But as I slide that leech along, I'll be moving pretty quick with this Lindy rig until I see fish. And as soon as I see them, I slow the boat down. I get down to that 0.3, maybe 0.4, and then I'll just hover above them. And that's what happened on that fish. And that's why I actually ended up twisted all the way around the boat, because I was just parked on top of them. The Lindy rig, and let me show you a little bit of exactly how we're doing this, because it's so easy. This is just a store-bought Lindy rig. It's the 6-foot Snell. And I love using a 6-foot Snell, especially in this clear water like I'm in. But if I'm in a dirtier water situation, I'll use the standard 2.5, 3-foot Snells, and it's just fine. Let me show you the hook setup here. That's real simple. That's the crawler and leech hook. Now, if you're fishing minnows, you can also buy these Lindy rigs with a minnow hook. Then the other thing I'm doing is I'm fishing a pretty snaggy bottom out here today. So what I've done is I've gone to a 1/2 ounce no snag sinker. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. The Lindy rig sinker, if I hold it above bottom the whole time, it'll be no problem. I won't get hung up. But every now and then I'm on such a steep ledge, and you can see, look at all the fish on the screen right there. 18 feet of water right on this steep rock ledge. But here's the thing. When I'm sitting out here and I want to set that sinker down every now and then, stop that bait, or I'm working up and down that ledge, I can get hung up every now and then. So that no snag sinker, what it'll do is skip along the rocks, but if it does get hung up, it's got balsa up in the top. So all I got to do, flip my bail, let it go slack, and that sinker will stand up and I can pop it out of the snag. All you got to do to work these Lindy rigs is work along nice and slow. Keep that line in your finger. When you feel that bite, drop the line, let them run for, 5 to 10 seconds, depending on how they hit it. Now that one there, I let them run a long, long time. But just drop it down there to them and then tighten back up. Make sure you've got all the slack out and set the hook, and you'll be fine every time. Oh, geez. This one hit it right when I dropped down the bottom. I mean, I literally just dropped this thing down on these fish, and this guy nailed it. I'm not going to give him long because he's there. Got him. Let's talk about the location we're fishing just a little bit, because this is really, really easy to find. Lakes all over the Midwest have these mid-lake structures. And at this time of year, when you get into the 70-degree water temps, we're at 69.4 this morning. When you get into these water temps, though, these fish slide off of these shorelines and they get out on this mid-lake stuff. But I think what's so cool about this is I can see these fish right on my graph. So you don't have to necessarily fish the area if you don't see fish. Look around first. And as long as you see fish on there, you can usually catch them. But Lindy rigs are my favorite way to fish these areas, because when I do see them, I can sit on top of them. Because you have to remember something. At this time of year, there's a ton of bait in the system. There's bait everywhere. They get their choice of what they want to eat. So a lot of times you got to spend a lot more time over the top of them, because they don't need to eat the bait you're giving them that day. So what you want to do is when you see them, like I was saying, just hit the brakes, sit over the top of them, kind of finesse them. The longer you sit there over the top of them, the harder it's going to be for these walleyes to not hit it. But find these mid-lake structures, and my favorite ones are this. Ones that are steep on one side and ones that on the other side or on one of the tips might have a feeding shelf. These fish will be on one side or the other all day long. Just keep moving around, until you find which side they're on. Earlier this morning, these fish were all up on the gradual side. These fish I'm catching now, they've moved up on top off the steep side. That's just awesome. Look at that. I'd do this all day and just have a ball. We'll let that guy go. That is a big smallie. That's awesome. Man, that is fun to catch right along with all these walleyes. Look at the size of that smallmouth, man. He just eats up my whole hand. There he goes. Let's see here. Got him. That just goes to show you that a lot of times fish will just slide right off the edge. And I'm over on the deep break right now. And this fish, I didn't drop back down into the bottom. I was right up at the same height I was when I came off the edge of the hump. A lot of times what that means is those fish were up on top feeding and they came straight off. They didn't follow the bottom down. So what it tells you is sometimes you don't wanna put yourself in a position where you drop right back down to the bottom. Come off the edge and stay high for a second and see, because a lot of times those fish that were just up there feeding are suspended at that exact depth. Weather conditions have changed just a little bit in the last 20 minutes on me. All of a sudden we've got a fair amount of wind and it's repositioned these fish. I've had to move down here to the south side of this thing. Look at that, that's a big one. Whew. It's always a little tougher when you gotta net them by yourself. Let me get you out of here. Look at that. That right there is a big fish. And that's what you can get Lindy rigging. Because if you just park over these fish, eventually that fish, he's gonna eat. If you look at this fish, he eats all day long. That's why he's big. I'll tell you what, they're just a ball to catch. One more thing. If you notice how I've been rigging today, every time I stop that bait and then lift it back up, seems to be when I get bites. So remember to change your cadence just a little bit, on and off, while you're fishing, especially when I see fish. That's when I do it a lot, is I'll stop that bait because I think they might be following. Now this one here, he just smoked it flying along. But when I've been seeing fish, I've been able to get them by stopping that bait. That's a great walleye to finish our day up with. Hey, get out and enjoy some of this Lindy rigging. Some of the easiest fishing you'll ever do. Walleyes love it, smallmouth bass love it, a whole variety of species love it. All they want to do is eat, and it presents live bait in the most natural way possible. There he goes, that's just awesome. I'm Jon Thelen, we'll catch you next time.